We will present the current solution. We launch the comparison program and choose the files to compare. The tool finds all the differences between the two versions. The objective is to present them to the user to determine if the difference is to be taken into consideration or to be ignored.
We select the files to be compared. The first comparison is done by superposition. It takes a few seconds depending on the size of the files.
On the left side, for the first file, the common elements are gray, and the elements that do not exist on the right file are red. Colors are configurable in the options.
On the right side, for the second file, the common elements are gray and the elements added compared to the left file are blue. Colors are configurable in the options.
Towards the center of the two diagrams, many elements are in red and blue, because the elements have been moved to allow the creation of a new diagram. These differences are not meaningful because they are the result of a simple displacement.
We select all the elements and trigger the intelligent comparison to ignore translations, rotations, and scaling. Many elements are passed in gray, it remains in red and blue only the real differences, and in particular the element added in blue.
These two diagrams have a lot of differences. The objective is to present them to the user, and he will decide whether it is significant or not.
For this, we have a tab Analysis and Report. We click on this tab, the analysis is made, a summary of the differences is created.
We see that the differences are very numerous. On the first file, 209 differences for 89 contours in differences. On the second file, 259 differences and 103 contours in differences. The number of contours and differences are not the same on both files, which is normal.
The contours with differences are on a light blue background, and the first contour of the analysis is in dark blue.
This background color around the contours can be displayed or not. The color can be changed by the user, as well as the level of lightening of this color to get the color lighter.
This first dark contour belongs to the first file because it is the default to browse the differences. The user changes this choice by clicking the F1 button or the F2 button.
In this example, the navigation is done by contour, then by differences inside this contour. It is the current choice. The user has the choice between this choice and the navigation only by differences.
Then the user can set the sort type for the contours. In the case of a scan on the page, top, bottom, left, right, the user can specify the step of the scan. The principle is the same for differences, sort type, and step of the scan.
In this example, the contour navigation buttons are active, and the buttons to navigate through differences within the same contour are also active.
If we take the second choice, only the buttons to navigate through differences would be active, and they would allow to navigate on all the differences.
The functions assigned to the contour navigation buttons are as follows. The first allows to go to the previous contour, if it exists. The second to the next contour, if it exists. The third adapts the view to the current contour, if there has been a scale change. And the last one allows you to select one of contours in difference.
For the difference navigation buttons, the principle is the same. The first allows to go to the previous difference, if it exists. The second to the next difference, if it exists. The third adapts the view to the current difference, if there has been a change of scale. The last allows to select one of the differences.
Using these buttons, the user goes from contours to contours, and from differences to differences. If the difference is significant, he takes a photo that is included in a report. Note the different elements become green. Colors are configurable in the options.
It can also put them in the trash if it considers that the difference is insignificant and the different elements become gray. Colors are configurable in the options.
At any time it can undo or redo the action using these buttons.
Last point, when analyzing the differences, the objects that are different and separated by a distance less than the threshold are merged to form a single difference.
This threshold is editable. The higher the threshold, the less differences there are.
Some additional parameters. The user chooses whether to browse or not the contours and differences that have been photographed or discarded.
The user sets the margins around contours and differences during navigating. He sets, also, the margin to find on the other file the differences, to take pictures or to put in the trash.
He can choose the coulter to be displayed by selecting its number. He can also choose the difference to be displayed by selecting its number.